Good morning, everyone. So glad that you could be here with us today. I'm here with Melissa Love, Project Controls Manager at Sundt Construction. Today, we're going to kind of be talking about the importance of, making sure that you have a true partner when you're choosing pre-construction software. With that being said, just want to let everyone know, please feel free to ask questions. We do have that question box here in GoToWebinar. Let's go ahead and get into it. Melissa, could you give us just like a little bit of background about your time with Sundt and how your role has evolved?
Yes, so I have been with Sundt actually as of last week 10 years, which is a bit crazy. I started with a different general contractor prior in operations as an engineer in the field, transitioned over to Sundt 10 years ago, started in pre-con, have loved it. So I actually have never left pre-con. Worked my way up as an estimator and recently transitioned into a role that we call project controls manager, which was actually developed more for operations. You are a point of contact to help what we call our frontline support. And so we're helping all of our operations teams. But we decided a year ago, as Beck was evolving with going Estimator 2020, we also wanted to develop our historical data app, that we wanted this role to create some consistency through our California, Arizona, and Texas offices, that we needed someone with that focus for pre-con. So in the last year, we have been developing that data, building out our assemblies, and really getting all of our teams to start utilizing Estimator 2020. And that's really what this role has been for myself the last year, and will be for the next few months as we get auto costing going and getting everyone trained and ready. And then I'll transition again over probably to more of an operational role as project controls manager.
That's awesome. That's really exciting to hear. And obviously, it sounds like Sundt, is really taking investment into pre-con and pre-con data and analysis really seriously, which is awesome to hear. So, with that being said, Sundt, is one of the first companies to adopt DESTINI Estimator, which at the time, was a totally new project from Beck Tech. So I'm curious, that time, you're not project controls manager, you're still, in that senior estimator role. What were your thoughts at the time about your company transitioning to this completely new tool?
So we were pretty excited about it. So we're probably one of the first implementers of DeProfiler. So our background with Beck was we started with DeProfiler, really put a lot of time and resources to building out the assemblies, and not only using it as an estimating tool, but also a marketing tool. And we really prided ourselves off of being on the front end of that software. The issue that we ran into is once we build this model and has all this information and costs driven behind a parametric estimate, what do you do with that? And we had kind of half of our department using MC² at the time. The other half was exporting to Excel, and perhaps another few that were doing who knows what. So we needed a program that created some consistency, created some, we wanted to lock down information. And so we reached out to Beck and asked, are you developing something where we can incorporate the information that we've gotten out of DeProfiler and transition that more into a estimating software tool? So we have always been in support of Estimator, and it was pretty easy to get everyone to transition to it, just because there wasn't, again, a lot of consistency through the company as to what to use. So I would say our transition to Estimator was pretty easy.
That's awesome. Okay, so you said, that y'all were struggling with consistency before. So then when you did adopt Estimator, how did that change? How did things become more consistent? Can you maybe dive like a little bit deeper into that?
Definitely. First and foremost, it's so much easier to go find an estimate when it's in the same program. And there also are some complexity of everyone estimates different. Even if you have the same software, estimators are going to do things differently. But it was pretty easy to set up our cost database behind it. So at least our coding systems were the same. If you had to get into someone else's estimate, it was pretty easy to figure out what software they're using, how they built that estimate, how you could change it from there. So for us, it was how we were building estimates, as well as then altering them if you were jumping into someone else's estimate. And especially for our pre-con managers, much easier to do a review when every estimator is working in the same system.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. And then, you mentioned too that you guys had been using MC squared. Was there a reason why you didn't reach out to that vendor to see if they could help you develop something? Like, why was it Beck Technology?
Well, and we'll get, one of your questions is coming up, but Beck has been really easy to work with when it comes to, this is the vision of Sundt. This is where we want to take it in the next 2 to 5 years. This is everything we need to create, again, consistency, good estimates, and reliable estimates as well. And so it just seemed like an easy transition to say, we need a software. This one's not working for us. We've put a lot of time and resources into DeProfiler. Can you develop something like this to export that information to? I think with DeProfiler, it was great for parametric concept estimates, maybe schematics, but after that point, right, we needed something to then create our estimate data.
Yeah, and it obviously sounded like, and as you said, we're about to dive into that question, but it obviously sounded like you had that rapport and you had that partnership to be able to go to Beck Tech and say, hey, can you do this for us? It wasn't like they had just given you Profiler and then taken off.
Yeah, and even better, I mean, we really started with Beck on the front end of this thing, so they were able to help us create a dashboard. So that dashboard is how every estimate at Sundt is submitted, and that's how we get all of our information out of Estimator. So we were able to develop those reports, the dashboard. A lot of the views that are now in Estimator 2020 are what we had helped create on the front end. So that, it just really allowed us to create more of a software built for Sundt and build Sundt-based training as well around Becks.
That's really incredible. And it kind of goes into our next question here, which, okay, so obviously has clearly really partnered with Beck Technology, worked a lot with them. What has that experience been like? For example, what is their support response been like when you run into a bug or problem, or when you come to them and say, hey, we've got an idea for a new feature, what can we do about it?
So I will tell you, anyone who's ever called me requesting information about Beck is that they have incredible customer support line. Always responsive. I will get calls back from Doug and Mo that same day. In the front end of this thing, when there weren't very many customers in Estimator and we were building it, it was pretty easy to put in our vision or changes. As this thing is growing and becoming much larger, Mo will always know we have an open issues log where we kind of have set priorities as to what we want to see in this next version, things we absolutely need, and others that are, hey, in the future, this would be great to have. One thing I would say that Beck does really well is this is a vertical building program, right? So we're actually at Sundt testing a lot of different softwares because we have different departments within the company, but a lot of them are more industrial based or our transportation group. But this one's really built for vertical construction. And I just don't think you're going to find that with a lot of the softwares that are out there. So that's why we've really taken on Estimator and Beck Technology's version of that, because it's really been set up for what we do best, which is multiple building types. And really their support group has listened to us along the way.
That's amazing. So, it sounds like there's a really supportive, responsive team that is really willing to, do what it takes to help enact your vision. So with that being said, do you think culture and vision is important when it comes to partnering with vendors? And, what would you say to someone that like is maybe struggling to kind of balance prioritizing features, but also factoring in the vision and the future of the company that they're about to invest in?
I think that's huge. I think understanding where our company is going in the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years, is pivotal to understanding how you're going to build out the software. That kind of goes back to our priority list. There are things we just need immediately. We need to get them done. There's also some future where we don't need them now, but in the future, as we see models are becoming more accessible, we're having to produce estimates within days now as opposed to a week. And we're doing a multitude of different types of projects. I mean, knowing that in the next 5 years what's coming, and we're starting to transition into different building types as well, it's just nice to have a partner like Beck to understand where we're going and to start building those features now, so that a year from now, right? We're not asking the question, where did this feature go? We actually understand where it's going to. One example is we're starting to rebuild our assemblies, and understanding how auto costing was going to work was really important to how we built the formulas and how we're going to bring in models for quantities. So I would tell you, understanding Beck's vision as well as Beck understanding our vision is super important. It's been the last year of me rebuilding our database. Understanding where it's going has probably saved me a lot of time.
That's really amazing. You're talking about like 5-year plans, right? For Sun, seeing where things are going. Obviously, I know there's only, so much that you can speak on, but can you dive a little bit into what is Sun's vision for pre-construction? 5 years from now, what do they want it to look like? What do they want to be accomplishing? What do they want to be doing different?
Yeah, I would tell you in the next 5 years, right, we're losing probably a group of employees, some older is not a word, more seasoned employees, and we're going to get a lot of new estimators in. And so to kind of get back in that deep profiler mindset of helping a newer estimator understand how to estimate is really important to us. Creating consistency through our company. I think our motto right now is build more with less. So we're going to hire on, but we're not going to hire as much. So we need to be producing estimates, consistent, reliable estimates in a short amount of time with less people. And in doing so, what estimator can do is, again, assemblies, parametric estimating, and soon to be auto costing, which will allow us to bring in models and do our takeoffs within estimator. But sometimes it's really small things. So I love the feature now where we're all working off a SQL server. And so we're not looking for flat files located in a folder somewhere. So everyone has access to everyone's estimates right now. That search function saves, probably 20 minutes of time every time you go look for an estimate. We had talked earlier, we're building a historical database and an app to help us build cost models within maybe 30 minutes as opposed to trying to build it in 5 hours. And so our motto over the next probably 5 years in pre-con is to build more, price out more with less people and less effort. And we're putting a lot of resources and time into doing that.
That's really incredible, especially that y'all are building that app to really get those cost models out more quickly. Well, just a couple other things before we wrap up. So one thing I want to touch on really quickly, you're talking about saving time, which is really important. We all know in pre-construction, can't get, enough time. What do you want to do with that extra time? What do you hope that your team can do with those extra 5 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may be?
I think our immediate goal would be to look for more projects, right? Pursue more efforts within, Arizona, California, and Texas. There's quite a, although it's been a tough last year, everything's starting to make a turn, and hoping that that extra 5 hours is another project we can go pursue, or it's another internal project that we can have. What we have struggled with and why we've pushed for this project control manager role is a lot of these things that we've dreamed up over the last 5 years, one being this historical data app, has always been the extra work, right? It's the nights and weekends. It's if you find an hour in your day, you focus in on it. So I would love to make everyone's time more efficient so that within those last 3 or 4 hours, let's think of something innovative that can change the company. It can be something super small that saves everyone 20 minutes. But, our hope and what we thrive off as Sundt is we're very family based. So we always want your extra time to be spent with family and things that you enjoy. But if there's extra time at work, I would love to pursue more work or pursue an internal project to grow and better the company.
Awesome. Wow. Love that. I guess the last thing here, and we're running out of time, but the last thing I just want to ask you, you talked about the auto costing feature that's going to be coming out with DESTINI Estimator. Are there any other features, things that you want to see in Estimator by the end of this year?
Yes, I wrote them off to the side. So if you see me staring off, because there's like 3 really important ones that we need to keep everything moving on what we're building right now. And going back to the vision, Mo and the support team know exactly what these 3 are because they've been on our list for a while. But we need to be doing our indirects in Estimator. So right now they're produced through our dashboard. We need it's super simple, but we need 4 decimal places, for example, in our fees tab, so that we can run all of our indirects in Estimator and we're not jumping out to a dashboard and exporting them. That is, it sounds super simple. So some of these, again, these changes are little things, right? But they're really important to Sundt. The next one is the takeoffs, the assemblies, and the model conversion. So being able to get into an estimate on Estimator, find it quickly, and not only is the estimate there, the drawing set there, but a takeoff in one file that's all saved back to our SQL server. I mean, that would be impressive if we can get everyone doing that a year from now. Right now, I would tell you the difficulty in estimator leaves or they go into a different project to go try and go find their last takeoff that matches their estimate, that matches a drawing set, is a lot of time and a lot of effort, even if you get it right. So having that in one file on Estimator would be, we'd be a world ahead of where we are now. And the last one is getting that cloud-based software set up so that right now, a lot of our historical information is being pulled from that project tab. And we just have hundreds of links within that tab, which kind of bogs down the system. So when we do go to that cloud-based platform, which I think is set for, next year sometime, that will just help save a little bit of time of some manual work on the back end. And I think it'll speed things up as well.
Oh man, that's so exciting, and a lot of really great things coming up for coming up for Beck Technology, and kind of all being born out of that initial partnership around Deprofiler and then DESTINI Estimator. Well, Melissa, thanks so much for being on here with us today to have this conversation. It was really great hearing from you. To those of you online, just want to let y'all know we are having another webinar next Wednesday, April 28th. Going to be over a feature in DESTINI Estimator, so please make sure to register for that on our website, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye, everyone.